And we have done it. Welcome into the world of Warhammer 40k. We have the first ever 11th edition tier list for everybody. I'm super excited to see everyone with us. Thank you for joining us. Today, I am joined by the glorious, the eternal, the bearded one, Mr. Kjetil Liknes, captain of the Norwegian WTC team. You love him. He is Warhammer Gandalf, and he is a rockstar. Kjetil, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Guys, it is the end of the freaking edition, and it is a great, and I mean great, time to be alive. So, welcome all. We're going to be basically partying about 11th edition. We have limited information, so we're going to talk about how the rules mechanics for the armies based off of like the data sheets and the things that we know that we have access to are going to apply to 11th edition. If we have a faction pack and we know about some of the detachment rules, we know about some of the enhancements, all these things, we'll talk about how they are going to apply in 11th edition. But everyone knows this is incomplete information. This could be trashed in 3 weeks, and then guess what? We'll do another freaking one. Volume is a little low. All right, so let me double check that. All right, that's the best I can do. So if your volume is still a little low, my guy, headphones, the best I can recommend for you. So I have a little quick thing I want to say, and then Mr. Kjetil has prepared some wise words for you guys. One of the things that I have seen people doing is I've seen people dooming a little bit with some of the new faction packs that have been released, because they're saying, oh, some of these detachment rules are just really crappy. It's like, I heard someone talking about the Orks, for example, and they said, oh, but the tactical brigade detachment got nerfed. It's way worse. Guys, all these detachments that you're seeing in these faction packs are all one detachment point. And in 11th edition, you're going to have up to 3 detachment points to create your custom-made detachment. There is no world where any one detachment should be as strong as a current 10th edition detachment. The strength comes from creating them and combining all the new things and all the amazing overflow and customization that you're going to be able to get to have. That's where the strength from these things are going to get, and that is where everything is going to be freaking awesome. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Kjetil to give you guys a few words of wisdom, and I don't know, maybe he'll sing for you in a very sultry voice if any of you would so dare listen to him.
Joke's on you, Jonathan. I can sing, but we don't want to go into copyright strikes just yet.
I might be willing to risk it.
But it's like you say, right? We have the opportunity to combine things, and we only know a couple of primaries right now. And some of these 1DT detachments will give you the good primary, because there will probably be the good primary when we begin. And that is probably going to be key to 11th. Unlocking how you yourself can set up your plan to guarantee max primary and as much secondary as possible, while also stopping your opponent, right? So that means that we won't see the thing that we saw in 10th anymore, which was like, oh, there's a new Space Marine detachment. But it's not Gladius, is it? Right? That's boring.
Very
so
boring.
Now, like, we saw a little bit coming out at the end of 10th now with, you know, what's it called? Ceramite and all those kind of things, right?
Cool. Mm-hmm.
But we will see more of that now that there are new paths to win, right? Your path to victory here has drastically changed.
Yeah.
And that is what really excites me about 11th.
Dude, that's so well said. Just to put it another way for people real quick, basically, it's like people just dismiss really good detachments in 10th edition simply because it wasn't quite as good as the top detachment in the army. But that's freaking gone. So Kjetil, I love what you just said. That was awesome, because the way that people are going to be able to combine, dude, I don't even think like okay, obviously there will be the meta list in 11th edition that will still exist, but it's going to be so much less dominant simply because people utilize their own creativity, their own ability to use certain units to greater effect than other people's ability to use certain units to greater effect is going to make such a variety of armies that we're going to see. Like if I were to say right now, hey, I'm playing a Mock Cod list. You know what the freaking list is till within 1,900 points, right? Like you could probably tell me within 1,900 points what the list will be. That will no longer be the case, and that is freaking awesome. So we did it. We ranted.
And like, yeah, another thing to consider about that is, you know, if the meta list becomes the meta list, there might be primaries that you can build to counter it, so that you actually have a very good primary to him, and you deny him his good primary, right? So there are so many more levels to things now, which means, to segue into what we're doing today, this tier list won't be correct.
Nope.
When everything releases, it won't be correct by the end of August even.
Nope.
Because as we see every year, WTC rolls along, and there's something that everyone has missed. So the thing that I really want to emphasize for people now: explore.
Yes.
You might not be wrong if you think this is absolutely busted. It's just that other people may not have seen it yet.
Shetzel, I think you might have just muted yourself.
Oh, did I disappear?
You're back. Nice. You're back. All right. Yeah.
Yep,
I think it was just for like 3 seconds. All right, guys. You've listened to us ramble on long enough. Let's freaking hop into it. We're gonna have number one, and the number one that we're gonna be talking about for today's tier list is the Thousand Suns. Now, Shetzel, I have some interesting thoughts about the Thousand Suns right now.
Go for it.
All right. Cover is now -1 to ballistic skill. It's no longer armor. So, 1,000 Suns with all their flamers that ignore cover, they don't really get any benefit or negatives from cover. They basically just kind of lose the advantage that they had from cover. Right? But the reality is they're not really losing anything. They're just not having a natural advantage off of that. That's kind of a little bit of an interesting thing to start the game with. But they also are going to be getting a passive upgrade in the form of the way that Overwatch is done at the end of the phase, and not being able to like trick people out. It's going to make their Overwatch more powerful as well. But at the same time, they're not going to be able to like Overwatch you when you're leaving the objective like you normally. So now Overwatch is also going to lose. So it's kind of like there's a whole bunch of things where they're getting like this big massive side grade, but they've got great data sheets. They have really good native abilities on their data sheets. So I think T-Suns are going to be like, based off of what we know right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that T-Suns are going to be like the epitome of a B-tier army at the start of 10th. That is what my prediction is for those reasons.
I would say they can be heavily infantry based.
Totally.
They have a very good vehicle detachment.
Yep.
They have extra AP on everything, which cover no longer negates, and they have access to Oath.
If the army rule stays the same, which army rules probably stay the same for codexes, right?
Of course. Like
right?
it'll stay the same for now. My assumption is that unless we see anything else right now, mostly everything stays mostly the same.
That's probably true. Army rules are probably the same. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have access to extra AP. They have access to mortals. They have a lot of infantry stuff, so hidden will be a factor. If the thing we hear about towing in, basically like all vehicles having towering, that's interesting. They have very good infiltrating units.
They do.
So I would say that T-Suns slot in at like top of B, or top of A somewhere.
Top of A somewhere.
I definitely think T-Suns, pending any balance changes, probably slot in at like top of A somewhere. However, there's a caveat. I think it's very much a specialist army that you need to be able to do that.
Yeah, so if we're talking about potential, maybe we can look at an A. At an A. I can go with A for right now, but I understand your musings. It is reasonable if we're talking about full potential. Okay, now I don't have anything, honestly, to say about this next one, so I'm going to let you ramble on it because this is really your bread and butter. Talk to us about the Bebop Toaster Lovers.
So I could talk about this in an entire video on its own, but I think that AdMech, as it is positioned right now, from what I have seen and what I have mused, I would almost run AdMech over Guard right now, because of the way Heavy has changed. Because now, if you only move 3 inches, you still count as +1 to hit.
That's very nice.
If you combine that with your entire army getting heavy with the Protector Doctrine,
that's cool.
And the fact that vehicles can tow in and get towering, you have the potential to have an extremely crippling, like, first shot damage output. So I think like one of the things that will like run through a lot of these armies is, can you have enough chaff out there to skirmish to force your opponent to do his big things, like commit his big things,
Yeah.
and then do like a big shot at him. And I think Admech is one of those armies that can do that. Now, are the points and infantry and brawling going to be good enough for that? Like, are we going to see an emphasis on durable brawling, infiltrating alpha strikes, or just like overwhelming run at you shooting type things? A lot of those things will probably determine where Admech ultimately ends up. But I would say like lower A, top of B.
Interesting.
And then if you are like a faction specialist with this, it can tumble with the best of them, I think.
See, one of my things that I was thinking about with Admech is, and this will go for a couple other armies as well, because yes, they are fast, good guns, but a lot of times they really, really do benefit from leaving the chickens and those freaking, I forget the destroyer, the tanks, what are they called?
Disintegrators, yes.
Disintegrators. Those guys really benefit from being kind of across the battlefield shooting at you, and that is not something that's going to be happening very much in 11th.
Well, I mean, they have native advance and shoot if you need it.
Oh, they're very fast. I'm not saying they're not very fast.
And you don't necessarily need the AP anymore.
Oh, that's very cool.
And
Discover's different. That's a very good point.
Yeah. So being in Protector means that you can be -1 to hit in melee.
Very spicy.
More now, right?
Sure.
And you get +1 ballistic skill and +1 to hit, which means that it negates cover as it exists right now.
That's very cool.
And if you bring agents to strip cover, then you hit them on 2s, rerolling 1s in eradication cohort, should it persist.
Okay.
So there's like nothing in the game. Like, you will have an entire shooting army hitting on 2s with everything you want. So if Admech gets things that increase detection range, for example, that means that we have the possibility of an extremely oppressive shooting army here, which combined with the fact that we already have very decent melee and very decent like pressure and skirmishing,
very interesting.
Admech might very much become a problem, but right now I would probably say like top of B-ish somewhere, just because I haven't really seen how things shake out.
I like the thoughts. I like the explanations there. And by the way, guys, let's just take one quick moment to... Damn it, I completely just lost my entire train of thought. Wow, let's go on to the next army. I had something good for you, and it literally just stumps. Okay, all right. Wow, that was embarrassing. Okay, let's talk about the Aeldari. I guess the stupid elves here. Oh man, freaking elves. So when I'm looking at elves, I'm looking at armies that are just incredibly fast, and armies that want to be really tricky with the way that they're playing with their scoot and shoot mechanics, with their abilities to just zip across the battlefield. These guys are going to have the ability to zoom from 24 inches away and then get within your detective range and then just roast the crap out of you regardless of whether or not you're hidden. This is something that not every army is really going to have the ability to do. So I think just right off the bat, that's going to make it a little bit stronger.
Yeah, it's sort of like in the Admech sense, in that this is very much a number that can run out and touch you and cause problems for you.
Yeah.
But they will also die a lot easier now, because many of them already have -1 to hit, but they kind of really liked having cover against all the AP1 stuff out there.
I think
so like, is AP1 going to be more prevalent now? Like, will they just die more randomly to bolter things? Maybe. However, like things like Harlequins, for example, that have a base 4 up and are super fast, do a lot of dev wounds.
Sure, dev wounds.
They might like this.
I think the thing about elves is elves just play Warhammer really well. So whenever we're in this situation where we're not really certain about all of the things that are going to be like super good right now, well, what do elves do? Elves get a lot of freaking units, and they move really fast, and they've got shenanigans where they can strike you and not get hit back. That's just a good place to bet your bets for a good army. It's hard to argue with that.
Yep.
Right? So I'm comfortable leaving them smack dab in B. we could talk about maybe A a little bit more, but I think B is
middle of the pack. B sounds
if
perfect.
you're an Eldar player, you probably should be feeling quite good going into the new edition, especially with your ability to, like, let's say you're playing Aspect Host. Remember, you can just go, oh, now I'm going to ignore that cover, and I'm going to give myself sustain hits and lethal hits.
Yeah, I mean,
these things are going to stack.
Dire Avengers and all the kind of things that you didn't look at before might be very relevant now.
Especially
like
since they have
Swooping
that.
Hawks with AP0 into like tiny stuff.
And remember, you've got like these War Walkers that give +1 AP, and now people don't get cover to negate that +1 AP. So I think Eldar are feeling quite good, and you should be quite confident going into the new edition, which I hate saying because I hate those pointy-eared little bastards, but that's okay. And I see Saidins in the chat, and I love you. I just hate your freaking army. So there you have it. And Genocide, you're correct. I do need a Genus, but I'm gonna have to go with a Montcalm for right now. Absolutely. Okay. Very, very freaking good. Good stuff. All right. Imperial Agents. Dude, they're gonna suck. Like,
Can I just say they're not a real army?
Bro,
like,
they're not. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I want to give you some insightful stuff.
If you are Folger Piles and you are very well practiced at like doing Warhammer,
that's not the army.
You can you could field dudes that do things and sit on objectives.
I can take them 3-2 at a tournament. I'd be willing to bet I can go 3-2 at a local tournament with them. But like that,
maybe even 4-1. But like,
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But like it's not because of the army, okay? it's not because of the army. Maybe you'll get an Imperial. Maybe they'll change their mind on what Imperial Agents are in 11th edition, and when that codex releases, it'll be sick.
Maybe.
Bob Scott, wash your dirty mouth. How dare you suggest that IA needs an army rule? Wow. That is a hot take, and you should be embarrassed. Ridiculous. I love you.
You mean being expensive if people use you outside of your own army is a bad army rule?
It's a bad army rule? What? Okay.
What?
But then, going into some stuff, we have the Black Templars. Now, word on the street is, and I don't know this is not confirmed, but word on the street is that divergent codexes are going to be codexes in 11th edition. Like I said, I don't know this. I do not have an NDA with them. I do not have pre-information, but the word of the street is that it's time where your codexes are going to be divergent codexes, and Black Templars are not going to be Codex Space Marines. Neither will Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves. Now, it's possible that this is a fairy tale that we're all hoping for. I really am praying for
has very interesting implications for teams as well.
It does, absolutely. And if that's the case, then that's very exciting. I cannot wait for my Blood Angels just to have an army rule where they get, +1 attack, +1 strength, and they charge. Don't lock us to that stupid O at the moment. Anyway, so that's cool. That's just dope stuff. Dope rumors. Honestly, pretty prevalent rumors. That one, I actually feel pretty good about that one. But Black Templars going directly into 11th edition. This is a weird one for me because when I look at Black Templars are good. I think they're freaking strong, and I know their win rate sucks, and I'm going to get flamed for saying that. I don't care. I just see that they have the tools to do freaking everything.
I think Crusader blobs that remain hidden until they run at you is good. I think the Repex in Black Templars is good.
Yep. They've got great characters.
Yep.
Hero Intervention of 12 inches now, with bonuses to charge, easily accessible.
Like, not being like a main Marine guy, I would probably just put them at like top of B somewhere.
I think the potential, the potential seems
because it's just that I think there's easier Marine armies to take, not necessarily better, but easier armies to take.
I would
that
agree
will bring
with that.
you to the top.
I would agree with that, and for that reason, I think this would be a C army, not because it's bad by any means. I actually think it's a lot better than what people are saying, but simply because of what you just said, because of ease of taking. I'm going to throw Black Templars going into 11th as a C. Now, this could be really different, but I also really think the loss of cover is probably a big deal for them, because those big blobs love having cover.
That is true, because Bastion is also -1 to wound, not armor of contempt.
Exactly. Bastion one of the best ways to run them. So,
and a thing we haven't talked about is the fact that you can no longer double stack stratagems, which might also severely affect the damage output of some of these things.
I don't think that would have really any effect on Black Templars from what I can
Not necessarily, but like it is a thing that can hurt defensively and
For
can
sure.
also hurt offensively.
Totally true with that one. Okay, let's go on into my personal favorite, the Space Vampires. These guys are moody. These guys like playing punk rock. My Chemical Romance is on permanent repeat for them, and they're freaking awesome. So let's freaking talk about the Blood Angels. I think the Blood Angels are in a really good place going into this, because the reality is move 12 freaking models with detection range is good. I think that's super freaking powerful. They're gonna have ways to get around like the whole new ingress rules, right? Because you can only ingress once per turn, but there's gonna be some rule, I'm sure, where they're saying where it doesn't count as an ingress. So they're gonna have kind of ways to get around with that. Now this is the assumption I'm making. So I think BA are gonna be feeling real good with their crazy speed and their ability to get to the opponent. Because if you look at the new table, at the new battles, or the new tables, all that terrain is all in the center. They can actually sit on the other side of the terrain where detection range doesn't matter, and they're still touching you if you want to get anywhere near their primary. I think Blood Angels feel real good, and I'm pretty confident I can throw them in the A tier going into
I would say so as well, especially if you consider that they have mixed detachments, which means that you unlock different dispositions. And some of them are really good, like just getting advancement charge for Death Company, surge move for Death Company, stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually Bob's very right. So Bob, if you guys read Bob's comment in the chat right now, he says that Lag has a lot of main strats that straddle multiple phases, so it'll be strong. And that's actually a really good point. So for example, they have a strat where they use in the charge phase, right? They have strats that they use in the fight phase. They have strats that they use in the movement phase. They have strats that they use in the shooting phase. So they don't really ever rely upon these double stacking strats that some of the other factions have been using as their bread and butter. So that's another really big thing. And one thing that I want everyone keeping in mind, I don't know why this is like a little balloon. This is for like cleaning out my daughter's nose. It's not a pair of bull testicles, just so everyone knows. Chateau, you can't see the screen right now, but I just realized what I was playing with, like these things that look like I'm putting nuts on my face. It's not what I'm doing, damn it.
Oh, right.
Sorry about that. I'm gonna put these balls down now so I can talk with both hands. But one of the go ahead. I
And as for what Bucephalus is saying, like what are the criteria we're doing here? Mostly just like vibes based on our experience and what we have already seen of how the game will play, and how we know the factions play already, right? So it's mostly just like sticking a finger in the wind and seeing roughly where things land right
My
now.
source is I made it the F up.
Yes. It came to me in a dream.
In a cave. And yeah, all right. So, but what I was saying is I want everyone to keep the context of, in the new edition, all the terrain, all the ruins are going to be right in the middle of the map. All in one big strip.
Which also means deep striking shooting elements.
Really powerful.
Very good.
Yeah. Real powerful. But also, once again, kind of balanced by the fact that you can only ingress 1 unit a turn, which is freaking dope.
Yes, sir.
So really interesting. But yeah, so fast armies that can actually stand behind those ruins, so hidden, the detection range is irrelevant, and then still be on all of the freaking primaries the next turn. Real damn strong. So I'm really feeling Blood Angels right now. Okay, let's go. I think we ranted on that long enough, and you guys saw me teabag myself enough times. We'll freaking move on. Chaos Knights, Mr. Schetzel.
These...
Yeah.
This is the difficult one.
Yes, this
is going to be a controversial one, because we have seen and we know that the triple Gatman build is still strong.
Still strong.
It's not as popular anymore, but it is still like, if you are good at using that build and pre-measuring and playing good Warhammer and being really good at that micro, very difficult to lose.
Or you could very easily lose by 1 point to me in our grand tournaments, like our friend Iric does. Sucks to suck, Mr. Iric. Sucks to suck. I'm just talking shit to one of my friends, so everyone just enjoy that. Sorry, I interrupted you, but
So,
it needs to be done.
towering is +1 to hit.
Ballistic skill.
Now, if you are within 12.
Ballistic
Yes.
skill.
Oh, ballistic skill, important difference.
Actually is, yeah.
But it is +1 when you are within 12 of something on ground level. That will probably emphasize being a little bit more active with the bigs. To negate cover. Infernal already has a strat to negate cover, which is fine. AP2 right now will be more significant on like the Gatman build. And I think if you go like 3 Gatmans and a Rampager right now, you can't necessarily go wrong. It will remain to be seen if the demon ally stuff still remains as it is, because they are kind of dependent on something like that. Yeah, it's hard to place these, I feel.
I think their
because it
damage
all
went
comes
through the
down
roof.
to-
I think their damage dramatically increases with the loss of cover, and they hit much better. But them losing the cover themselves makes them even more fragile. So that's really interesting.
Yes, and the fact that like it will be easier to see them and shoot them when you get in, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a problem.
Like I would say CK is probably like the top B tier army, because there are armies that just destroy them.
Yeah, I think that's
or
fair.
the lowest A tier.
They're just getting killier, and they're also getting more fragile. And we have a super chat from the glorious 50 Mike. Mr. Mike, we love you. And he has dropped a little information. Shetzel, I don't know if you've heard this. I did not hear this one. But on the GW Live Q&A, apparently they have said that the Hazardous, your Desperate Escapes, and Emergency Disembarks are all now on rolls of 1 and 2. So your Hazardous weapons actually are hazardous now. Like, you actually might... It's possible to actually fail them more than once a game for your stupid Riptides. God, I hate Riptides.
Very interesting.
God, I hate Riptides. That's actually very cool. And
there seems to be a trend with risky things actually having consequences, like we've seen with the tank shock strat and similar.
I think that's kind of cool. I really like that concept. Like your risky stuff, it's risky. It's not only risky for orc detachments. Thank goodness. All right. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate the super chat. Means a lot. I actually do like to eat and drink beer. So, Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines, I think, Mr. Shetzel, if I may, are going to be amazing. And by amazing, I mean amazing. I think they're going to be almost borderline oppressive. They have access to literally everything you could ever want. All their shooting, which is already one of the hardest hitting shooting profiles in the game, just got maybe the hardest shooting in the entire game, just got knocked through the freaking roof. They've got freaking jump pack infantry that can go fast. They've got non-jump pack infantry that can go fast, just like the Blood Angels do. They hit harder than any other detachment. I think CSM is just feeling freaking great right now. They've got so many detachments out there that they're going to be able to mix and match. Remember, most armies are going to have 8 detachments or so when it comes to like things that are currently in the codex, plus maybe a few things that have been released. CSM are right up there with Space Marines with 12, 13 freaking detachments. That's going to give them so many options to mix and match choices. Bro, I think CSM
potentially
is
demon allies
scary.
and stuff that do things.
I think CSM's looking real scary, simply, and I know I just said damage a lot, but simply because the sheer amount of options that are going to be available to them, that other armies just aren't going to have that many options. And I'm going to say something similar when we get to Space Marines, by the way. So I'm not really being biased here, but I think CSM.
I would say that CSM almost maybe more so than Space Marines, because you have the option of doing like horde builds, tank builds,
more options. That's
chunker
true.
builds. Yeah,
that's actually a very good point. I think CSM is top of A. If I had to predict an S tier, I would consider throwing them up there as well. Oh, we have an accord, ladies and gentlemen. We have an accord. Okay. Next one. Adeptus Custodes. For the love of God, GW. Bring my golden boys back. 10th edition. I didn't play them not because they weren't good. I played them because they were the most boring army in existence, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle how freaking boring they were in 10th edition, and they were my competitive army. They're the ones who I first placed in a tournament with back in 9th edition. My Shadow Keepers were my greatest love. Holy crap, was I bored with them in 10th edition. I don't care if they're good, just make them not freaking boring. Now, that being said, some of the things that we have heard about in 11th edition gives me reason to think that these guys are going to be freaking good. One of the big rumors is, and Sheto, you can correct me on where it was from. I don't recall where it was from. Is that Fly will now be moving through walls just at like a -2 movement penalty?
I have heard the same,
Yeah.
but there has been no official. There's been no official drop of it.
Okay, so that one was not from GW.
No, it has been
right.
one of the most persistent rumors, though.
Okay. If that's the case, that means our bikes are back on the freaking menu. One of the big things that we got from the faction focus of Adeptus Custodes, which really excited me, was, man, when you talk about those individual detachment rules that they showed off, where you can just give the dreadnoughts +2 to move, +1 advance, +1 to charge. That means you can now slot dreadnoughts in any Custodes detachment. You don't have to be Solar Spearhead. A lot of people thinks we're complaining and they're saying that they think that sucks. I just disagree with you. They're like, oh, they should bake that into the data sheets. They don't have to, because now they can be a little bit cheaper because naturally they're slow. But if you take that detachment, you can also pair that with any other group of rules, which is something that we can't do right now. And that is an enormous buff to the Custodes. Same things with that sister detachment. Same thing with that Terminator detachment. People were talking crap about the Terminator detachment. They're like, it just gives Terminators reroll charges. But it also gives them a turn 1 ingress, people. It gives them a turn 1 ingress. And +1 toughness.
Yep. And also, very important to keep in mind, more detachments available to you also means more dispositions available, which means
different ways to win.
Maybe you get better primaries, yes.
I think that faction focus showed me a lot of things that I'm really, really excited for. Got to be honest with you. And yeah, Genocide, that was my Discord. You're right. People were dooming my Discord. I was like, no, stop it. But they were lovely people. But I gotta correct them. You know, I can't let them doom. I'm anti-dooming. I just can't do it. But yeah, so those freaking Custodes were actually making me really, really pumped. Don't necessarily know how great it'll be, but I will say I'm minimum comfortable putting on top of B for my expectations.
Yep, I think that sounds about right. Like there are a few things that it like depends on, like many other things. So I think like B safe spot for them.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they're not a lot better. And oh boy, if I was allowed to say a few other things on this stream. Now, the next one is actually probably one of my top 3 choices for number 1 in the game.
Ooh. You're gonna have to justify that to me.
I have a very hot take here. I think Chaos Demons might be one of the strongest armies in the freaking game on release, because of one mechanic that everyone and their freaking brother hates. One mechanic that I love, that I say is always impactful in every freaking game I play, but everyone else dismisses, and everyone says I'm a lunatic, and I'm a grifter. But baby, battleshock is back. Battleshock is back. You no longer on battleshock in the command phase unless you pass a leadership test. Hey, Shetzel, what does Shadow in the Warp do?
It is the most terrible army rule in the game that forces you to take a battleshock at like -2 on your entire army. It's terrible. Nobody likes that. Yes.
Yeah, it makes you -1 to your leadership. Is that right? And don't you have to pass a leadership test to on battleshock?
If you have the Neurotyrant, you are -1 indeed.
That would be Tyranids. You just went into Tyranids, which is going to be my second pick. Big shock.
You did say Shadow in the Warp.
Oh damn. Shadow Chaos.
Shadow of Chaos. Yes.
Dagnabbit. All right, whatever. Shadow of Chaos. Shadow of Warp. Big flipping surprise.
Yes, yeah. It is -1. Yes.
Yeah. So and you've got ways to stack this up. You got ways to stack this up. And
the fact that you have to like it's interesting because if you have to take that leadership test and you keep failing it, do you continue taking mortal wounds when you're in Shadow?
Oh, of course you do. Absolutely. And then you can still.
I mean, that remains to be seen if it counts as failing a battleshock test or failing a
pardon me. I thought you were going to say other things. But you have a lot of other ways in Chaos Demons to then force more battleshock tests, right? And even if they're battleshocked, you can still make them take a battleshock test, right? I think this
I
mechanic
I
is going to dramatically stack this with Bellacor's 18-inch loan up, meaning they don't need the ruins. I think this is going to dramatically transform the faction.
I think that the problem with Chaos Demons is that, yes, they're going to be very good. They actually get to benefit from cover now. Very important.
Do they? Oh, wait, well, of course.
It's
Yeah, of course.
it's
Of course.
-1 to hit now.
Of course. The silly Jonathan. Of course. That's actually really big for them. That's a huge increase in the durability, actually.
That is the biggest thing for them. However, I feel like the way they are designed now is that you have to be good at rolling 6-inch charges.
Yeah. So
to actually do things.
How about 5-inch charges?
That can fail.
How about 5-inch charges?
Yeah, but yeah, you get the idea, right? It failing a 6, failing a 5, it can happen, and if you fail those, you're in trouble, right?
But that's strictly for a demonic incursion, right? There's a lot of other ways to play demons.
Sure, but like I think that might be the best way to run it.
Could be.
And it is the one that has the most impact with Shadow of Chaos and stuff.
Yep.
It's like, if Shadow Legion persists and you have Raptors that can battleshock and do things, maybe, right? But I think that, like, as a pure output thing, Demons, for one, needs a specialist.
Sure.
And you are a little bit too reliant on rolling 16 charges.
But let's not sleep on a few things, my friend. Ready?
That is true.
What if Shadow Legion is a thing? And then I take 60 pinks that are -1 to your ballistic skill and -1 to hit.
I mean, we've already seen that be good.
But now you're both -1 ballistic skill and to hit.
But as Mike said, stealth and cover does not stack.
But they don't have stealth in Shadow Legion. Tzeentch is just -1 to hit. It's not stealth.
Oh, no, I know. But, like,
So who cares? Because it's -1 to hit plus the cover, right? So yeah, no, they're gonna have crazy, and I am very, very on the Demons camp here. I'm throwing up an S. I'll let you override me on one if you want to. Just out of curiosity, where would you place them if I wasn't overriding you?
I would probably place them lower end of A.
Coward, you just fear our might. Okay. All right.
I just think they are too difficult to play to be like a pure S.
Is that why you're rolling small dice instead of big dice now?
That is exactly why I roll small dice.
All right, guys. We have the Dark Angels. This is the other Angels who I also freaking adore. I'm a real big fan of it. I actually had a conversation with one of my clients today about some of the cool things that we can actually start doing, because in the plasma, with the detachment that they released saying that you can increase the strength of plasma by 2. Now, if we were running like a Company of Hunters style build, all those freaking 70 plus rapid fire strength 10 plasmas over strength 8 plasmas, that's a really, really interesting breakpoint right there, my friend.
And the thing to think about there, right, is if you die a third of the time on hazardous, that's fine if you've killed 75% of your opponent.
And Dark Angels, especially with the Ravenwing Command Squads, resurrect their dudes who die, which is going to be really different than a lot of other hazardous detachments or hazardous type units. So I think Dark Angels will going to have a variety of play. And by the way, what I just talked about has nothing to do with the style of Dark Angels that I play. It's just that there's going to be so much variety that I think Dark Angels are going to come out swinging. I'm not so certain.
Another thing to think about is your default Wrath of the Rock build, which will now be able to have 2 sources of charging in your opponent's turn.
Which is actually a really, really big deal. And in addition to that, while yes, we do lose the armor bonus from cover, we get the -1 ballistic skill stacking with -1 to be wounded. I actually think that's better than having +1 armor.
Especially because you also have access to
armor contempt. Yeah.
Yep.
That's really, really dirty. So I think Dark Angels are feeling really good. I would put them right next to where I'm thinking about Custodes for right now. That's what I would do. What are your thoughts on that?
I see more potential in Dark Angels because I think they're already very good.
That's true.
I would put them above Blood Angels.
Ooh. I'll put them in A for you. How about that? We'll come to an agreement on A because I
We,
think
we
I can understand that.
can. Minutia will always be minutia.
That's true. All right, man. We got Death Guard. We got the Smelly Boys. They were announced today. I saw a bunch of people were really impressed by what had been announced. I'm not so sure I understood. Could you explain it to me? Why people were impressed by the faction pack?
Well, I
Did you read it?
don't entirely get it myself.
Okay.
But one of the things here, if you look at the Paragon of Putrescence, where you can pick an enemy unit in contagion range and add 6-inch detection range for it, right? That means you can shoot at 21.
But isn't that only on a character? You have to use a character to do that?
I believe so, yes. It's like the same old, like, pick a thing, reroll blast type thing. There's -1 to wound for Plague Marines. When Strength Fire, I believe it is.
Yep.
And there's extra contagion range, which is all like very good for a 1 DP thing.
Yeah.
And that has interesting interactions with their strats and stuff. Death Guard is one of those armies where like you have to think about how all the debuffs compound as opposed to buffs.
That's fair.
The change to Flyblown Host is also interesting because you can now infiltrate Plague Marines.
Yeah.
Based on the maps I've seen right now, don't think it'll be super relevant, but it depends on how much like one of the other armies that I want to point out later end up doing things.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Infiltrate is going to be losing a little bit of its power because move blocking is going to be so much dang harder than it currently is.
It'll be Infiltrate will not be a jail ability anymore, is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Because I have a mind for one of the last armies we're gonna talk about here.
Okay.
It's like a thing they might be able to do.
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna
But like you have assault on all like the good Death Guard vehicles.
Sure, that's true.
Death Guard themselves are fine as they are.
Yep.
And if the whole thing about like will we be chunky, will we be fast gun good, will we be slow gun good?
Yeah, right.
Because of heavy, all of those things means like Death Guard has a lot of play.
Sure, of course.
But I still think that they are the lower end of B tier. I mean, the Filers exist, right? The Filers shoot, and the Filers have contagion. So like they're not worse than B.
I'm on board with that. And I do want to back up 1 second just because I was being a silly bear, and thank goodness we got Genocide in the chat who's keeping me honest here. ICC are always -1 to be hit in Dark Angels, Inner Circle Companions. So now that those bad boys are -1 to be hit, and then they're in cover for -1 ballistic skill, and then they also have their -1 to be wounded if it's Wrath of the Rock, and then they also have their... That makes them...
That is assuming that GW will let these things stack still, of course.
Well, -1 to hit is, but it's not stealth. They don't gain stealth. They just get -1 to hit.
No. But I'm just saying, like, if GW will let -1 ballistic skill.
Well, they've said it. They've said that in articles that you can have hit modifiers still.
Oh.
Yeah, so that has been said. So hit modifiers will stack. Stealth just gives cover. So stealth is the same thing as having cover. So there's no stacking there. Is the thing. Of course, now we have Mike in the chat who's listening to the Q&A saying he's not sure -2 hits do stack. But is that saying that...
Well, -2 hit and minus ballistic skill is different because stealth is...
Right, exactly.
Stealth is changed.
To being...
Keep in mind, being grant cover.
Yeah, precisely. That's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking. Okay, cool. So let's get into Deathwatch now. Now, I am a big Deathwatch fan. I actually really like Deathwatch and Bastion right now, although I do think that Black Spear Task Force is a little bit better. I wonder if these guys are going to get hit by the limitation of ingresses. Because if you're only allowed to ingress 1 unit per turn, does that mean...
That is problematic.
That would be very problematic. Now, it's entirely possible, guys. It's entirely possible that the limit to 1 ingress per turn is only for units that are arriving... that started the game in reserves. So it's possible that that doesn't apply to units that start on the board.
Very much might be that rules and strats override that.
So that is possible. It's also a thing that I know we've read in some of the articles, or Adam was talking on one of the lives where they were saying that they are now eliminating the ability to arrive turn one, regardless of your ability, unless it's specifically called out. So that could hurt Deathwatch. What I'm saying here is there's a lot up in the air that might really be hurting Deathwatch. And I don't think we have enough information to be really confident for Deathwatch's ability going into the new edition, even though they're performing really, really well right now. Does that seem reasonable?
But yes, should be said though, to compensate for the negative parts of it.
Yep.
+1 AP, very good.
Definitely.
Access to double oath.
They
very
deal
good.
more damage, that's for sure. They definitely deal more damage.
Yeah, so they are a lot more lethal now,
which is hilarious. They're already
especially
pretty lethal.
if you consider the fact that like towering is easier to get for +1 to hit.
Yep.
Indirect, like we don't know how indirect is gonna play yet, but it exists, right?
Yep.
That's still pretty impressive.
Yep. So
like it's hard to say. I think like this is very much a specialist faction because it's very easy to screw up here.
And so I'm thinking C, not because I think they're going to be unplayable by any means, but I think with all those questions up in the air, I'm not feeling particularly confident on them right now. So that's why I would put them in C for today.
I think if you are like Emil Söderholm in Sweden and you only play Deathwatch, like you know exactly how to exploit these new rules.
Sure.
And you'll be great. But that it'll take some figuring out.
Yeah, and you know, actually what you just said is a really good point. So one of the things I've been counseling with all my clients, guys, just for everyone who's hanging out, is I've been trying to get everyone to understand a very simple truth that getting really good at your army right now in 10th edition is what's going to prep you for 11th edition because there's like 80 to 90% of all the mechanics are going to stay the same. If you get really good at your army right now, you'll be able to simply focus on learning the new stuff as soon as 11th edition drops, which means you're not going to have to be worried about learning your army as you're learning the rules, which is going to give you a really big leg up on the competition. So what Shetil just said was that specialists in factions who know their factions cold, they're going to get real good real early because they know their stuff. So learn your stuff cold right now. And we got Mr. 50 Mike again with the $2 super chat. We love you. $2 is great. And he says Psychic ignores hit and wound modifiers. Now that's new. I haven't heard them say it ignores wound modifiers. He's over on the Warhammer live Q&A right now, which I didn't know was happening, or I probably wouldn't have scheduled this for this exact time slot, but that's okay.
I don't think anyone knew it was happening, to be fair.
So that's cool, man. Wound modifiers as well. That's actually really dope. That's a huge buff to Grey Knights, and we might have to take that into account.
And T-Sons, right? So
for like, are there bolters? Yeah. Are there bolters psychic?
They can be psychic.
With one strat and one detachment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But also in the vehicle detachments, they can do it on all the vehicle guns as well. So the fighters with psychic weapons.
All right, that's a little bit interesting. Now Drukhari, I have actually high expectations for Drukhari going out into 11th, and here's why.
I am very bullish on them.
Okay, all right. I think we have a gentleman's accord on this one, because when we saw some of the releases of some of the primaries and secondaries, oh boy, high speed, high MSU armies are going to be racking points up like it's no one's freaking business. 11th edition, and what was the name of that primary that I'm thinking about, Shetil? Do you have it?
It is the disruption primary where you set traps.
Right, I don't remember the name of it, but you get like 2 points for doing an action in every terrain piece or something, right?
It is every terrain piece that is not within your own deployment zone, which yes. I actually did a little prep work on this.
Oh,
especially for this.
All right.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that can reach turn 1 and do an action in with units.
All right.
And you get additional points for doing it on objective terrain as well. So you can score roughly half your max primary in turn
1. So hopefully there's some limitations on there that we don't know about, but
it depends on if some of these things actually are in your deployment zone or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a little bit unclear. It might be that it is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces as opposed to 7. But you can trap them, and then all you have to do for the rest of the game is to actually just kill your opponent in them. You don't even have to stand in them, right?
Yeah.
So Drukhari that doesn't have to commit to stand somewhere and can just kill you while they've like disrupted you.
That's pretty good.
Seems pretty good. But the limiting factor there is
Yes.
that's only against the take and hold disposition. It will never be the same. You will never play this against anything other than the take and hold one.
Interesting. Okay.
And the take and hold one is also a simple one to do.
Right.
Okay, the take and hold one you can score similarly in turn 1 because it includes storm hostile objective now as well.
Oh, right.
So if the disposition one does that, then it's also easy for the take and hold one to score back, right? So there's a little back and forth there with the primary.
Yeah. So okay, that's a good point. I'm thinking though that like Drukhari are going to be able to play the game pretty dang well right now. So I'm immediately thinking A tier for them.
Yeah, definitely A tier for Drukhari.
Cool. Let's just
don't know where on the A tier, but A tier.
We'll just chunk those bad boys up there for right now. What about now GSC? This is an army I have concerns about, due to the limitation on ingresses.
I actually don't think that will matter as much.
Interesting.
Because things like Final Day and Host of Ascension are the
Final
ones
Day is
that
about to be
really...
bonkers.
Yeah, like Host of Ascension is the one that really likes to uppy downy, right?
Yeah.
It is built for it, but Outlander Claw, Biosanctic, all of them are
Outlander Claw, uppy downies. Right, when they have
with the bikes and the rough rides, yes, but that is just like you pick up a thing, you put in a thing.
But things also re-arrive in reserve when they come out of the cult ambush tokens.
Yes, but that's ambush tokens. That's not an ingress. That's an ambush token.
This is why I talk to you.
That is an entirely different mechanic.
This is why I talk to you. There we go. Nice.
So they can arrive via Deep Strike, right? That was the thing they changed in 10th after their start, because before it was like you could just arrive via tokens.
Correct, yeah.
But now people have stopped caring about the tokens because you can just Deep Strike.
This gives us a reason to care about tokens again.
This gives us a very good reason to care about the tokens, yes.
And that actually causes a lot of problems for people because since all the action is going to be happening in the middle of the maps now, it's going to be really hard to screen your extreme edges, which is going to make you very susceptible for them dropping on your backfields.
And GSE has very good shooting units that will come in from Deep Strike and stuff.
Okay, all right, maybe
they like the big heavy hitters. They didn't really have armor to begin with.
Yep, that's true.
So they like being -1 to hit and -1 to wound, aberrants and such.
Okay. All right, so maybe you might have alleviated my fears quite a little bit there. I think that was good. So sounds like a solid B if I'm not mistaken then?
It sounds like a solid B, and, someone will come and find something broken there.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, oh yeah, because that's the thing about GSC, right? Like, when someone finds it, they're a big problem. But
yeah, like
it has to be found
someone like Innes will find something there that will be like, oh shit, why didn't we see that?
Why didn't I see that? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then we're going into the Grey Knights. Now, due to the lovely information, Mr. 50 Mike, God bless you, thank you, sir, just gave us, Psychic does ignore hit and wound modifiers, which is actually pretty dang big. Now, the reality is, they've got a lot of AP1 that's coming out, especially with like those Psych Cannons and stuff, which just got a lot stronger.
Yep.
That's good. It gives them actually a pretty dramatically increased amount of damage output, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Those Psych Cannons are also the heavy Psych Cannons that their big dreads have are also ignoring the hit modifier. That's also pretty cool. So they're feeling quite spicy, quite good. I think Grey Knights probably should be feeling better going into 11th than they do here in 10th right now.
Yes, because they are very good at pushing into the middle. They are very durable when they need to.
Totally.
They have good shooting units that can arrive into your very open backfield in the maps we've seen so far.
Yeah.
And another thing to point out, Teleport Assault is not an ingress.
Right, that's fair.
As of yet, at least.
Right. As of yet, at least. So I think Grey Knights should be feeling quite good. I think that pumps them right up into B very, very easily.
I think there will be a heavy emphasis on a lot of things being in B tier.
I think that's probably fair, and you're gonna have like some big standouts. Now, one thing I have spoken to some very knowledgeable human beings, and the release of 10th edition is not, or sorry, the release of 11th edition is not going to be the alpha state that the release of 10th edition was.
No.
There will be mechanics, there will be things that'll be like, all right, this is a little too much, or this isn't quite good enough, and GW will balance it like they've proven throughout all of 10th edition that they balance things very quickly and actually quite well. But it's the nice thing is it's not going to be the alpha state that 11th edition was. It's not going to be the whole like shit show of just pure freaking Eldar or GSC or don't bother. Like that's not gonna exist, which is really really nice. So that does kind of tip out some things.
That is a good point being pointed out, by the way. You are missing the Emperor's Children faction in the tier list.
Oh, well, I will upload it and I'll add it in here while you, dear sir, talk to our friends about the Imperial Knights.
So, Imperial Knights, interesting, right? Because you... And we will see a lot tomorrow, I think, about how things are going to be, because I think this army, in addition to Chaos Knights, have the opportunity to do a lot of damage. And now that they also have different opportunities to score, and the fact that they are so fast, they are so pushy, melee, right?
Fucking defilers.
I almost wonder if Imperial Knights will be stronger than Chaos Knights in this iteration of things, because of how they can implement Imperial Agents into things. I think a lot of it will come down to if they have a good match of dispositions for primary and like the general game plan. Because Freelance Blade, if it will persist as it is with the Feel No Pain, might defensively be better than the alternatives for Chaos Knights, although Infernal Lance can pop their thing for the 6 of Feel No Pain as well. Remains a bit to be seen. I think they should be above Chaos Knights, but like still on B tier, right?
Sure. That's fair.
I think this is the one that might change the most, depending on what they potentially reveal tomorrow.
I think that's really fair. I think that's a very fair statement. And now that they have their more like durable detachment as well, that can maybe offset the loss of cover. But and they all already have their invuln in shooting phase, which kind of negates the loss. Like
shooting destroyers that ignore cover on objectives, which means that when you're shooting into
good.
like the big ruins,
that's real good. It means the destroyers
and
gross.
and AP1 isn't shooting destroyers will be really good here.
That's a very 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 fair point. Okay, now your beloved, freaking boys in the hood.
Yeah, they probably go straight to S tier.
You think so?
Guard it has to be the best army in the game, like just based on what you can do. There are so many builds I can do here. There are so many potential things that you have here that are just gonna be straight out good. They can build a durability castle with 2 up armor save, 5 up feel no pain stuff. That's gotta be like -1 to hit with like smokes and stuff, and all the all the stuff you can go into guard and still have a lot of damage, and orders to negate things and be faster than you should be, and so forth. Right? It like there is no doubt in my mind that guard is and will remain probably the best army in the game, but it has a very high ceiling and a very high floor, I think, or a very low floor, right? It is very easy to build wrong.
I think that's a very fair statement to make. I have played some people who have built guard wrong. That has definitely happened to me. I've lucked out and played people who have built guard wrong, and I have escaped due to that. So I think that's very fair. But okay, cool. So they've got every single tool. They can give themselves +1 ballistic skill on demand. The decrease in the restriction of the terrain is going to make it easier for them to move all their big vehicles out. So parking lot is not going to be as much of an issue. Cool.
Yeah, like the terrain is perfect for guard, in the sense that we can hide, we can shoot. Like and like regular Lehman Russes might see a comeback now, right? Because if you can just tow into terrain and shoot with reroll to hit.
Yep.
potentially lethals in combined, because I assume that Grizzle is one of the ones they're taking out. Like it just seems good as an army that can force you to commit your stuff, and then you don't push hard enough, and we just go, and then you don't have enough stuff anymore.
Dope. And then your other beat bop robot boys, who you also love, you've got a type. You have a type, Chetzel. You know this, right?
I may have a type.
You've got a type, bro. The Crons. Now, for me, when I read Crons, what I know is that they've just got good data sheets, bro. They have good freaking data sheets. And
Necrons have like the baseline best data sheets in the game, I think.
Straight up. And as we're transitioning into this new edition where we don't necessarily have all the rules yet, and we don't know all the new detachments and all that stuff, the thing that we do know is those data sheets be good.
Yes, I think that the Awakened Warrior build
that puts them in a good
spot. Just the Awakened Warrior build with the potential that that's going to be like a take and hold type detachment just seems to be like, how do you not automatically score 100 with that army? Like, I think that like generally Necrons might be a problem based on that alone.
Yeah, it kind of gives me vibes from like the 9th edition where you could just max all your secondaries in 2 turns, right?
Yeah. Like it, I would like either top of A or lower side of S.
Yeah,
probably for Necrons.
For me, I'm gonna leave it for A for now because I just want to like, I think S should be exclusive, but yeah, I think it's hard to be not betting on Necrons to be a top tier faction right now.
Yes,
you'd be hard pressed to not bet on them. But if we talk about glowy green things, we got to talk about the best glowy green things, which is the boys. Now, I'm very freaking excited for the Orks. Those new models, Zom, oh my goodness, the new Daka Dread, yes. Orks, I think, are going to initially be one of the strongest armies in the game, and then they're very quickly going to be nerfed into being useless for like a year. That's I'm calling it there. And the reason why I think Orks are going to be one of the best at the game is because we have a big model refresh, and we also are going to get the first codex. The first codex is going to be the Orks. When we know this, you basically just got to expect that they're probably going to be the strongest right off the bat. Now, they might not be nerfed. Maybe there will be codex creep. Maybe I'm wrong on all that. GW has definitely gotten better at not nuking things from orbit, which is, bless them, that's amazing. I really appreciate that from them. But I think Orks are going to come out swinging as one of the best in the game. Go ahead.
I certainly think that, like, at least in the beginning, Orks and Space Marines will be like the army that plays the edition the best, with like adapted rules for the edition.
Exactly.
But that could be a curse for like later parts of the edition once things start to change, right?
Exactly.
We haven't really seen that in 10th though.
No,
for those that are concerned about that, because Necrons was like part of the beginning book, and then there were like certain periods where things were bad. But Necrons have never truly been super bad, right?
Nope.
Death Guard have had periods as well where they've not been super good, but then they come back again, right? So there will be more swings, obviously, as balance comes along. But I don't think it's necessarily bad to be good early.
Yeah, and that's why I actually kind of have a lot of hope here, because GW has definitely shown that they are getting better about not nuking things from orbit every time they nerf. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. So people out there, oh, my sisters, oh, my whatever. Yeah, I understand it has happened, right? But they're getting a lot better at not doing it every time. So I think Orks are going to be hitting real hard early on, and they'll taper, just like you said. So since we're talking about the release of 11th, I would be interested in putting Orks at the top of A.
I think with how fast they are, how durable transports they have, the opportunity that they can shoot well, combat disembark being a thing, let's not forget that.
That's a thing.
Means that you can't just charge their transports anymore and then shenanigans happen, right? There's consequences now.
And one other thing that I think is really important for people to recognize is Orks don't care about cover anyway, because they all have 5-up armor saves, and everyone's shooting them with stuff that's taking them to the point where they're not saving anyway. So -1 to be hit is actually a much bigger buff for Orks than getting an extra bullet buff armor save. So that is actually quite good for them. Just saying. Of course, if your naked orc boys are standing out there in the open to get shot, they're probably still gonna die. Like, let's be real. Let's be real.
Yes.
My favorite freaking piece of lore from any piece of Warhammer 40k is, I believe it was Armageddon, where you have an entrenched platoon of Imperial Guardsmen, and they're all out of ammo. They've been fighting for months, and all their last cells are completely dead. And a troop of boys is approaching, and they're stalking, and they raise their choppas, and they scream, "Whoa!" I'm not gonna scream it because my little girl's asleep. Freaking don't at me. And then they charge on the entrenched position of all the guardsmen, and the guardsmen all stand up, point their guns at the orcs, and start screaming, "Bang, bang, bang, bang!" And holes appear in the orcs, and they all die. Because orcs are the best freaking army in the entire game. God, I love it. It's my favorite piece of lore that ever happened. That's freaking awesome. Okay, the girls, Sisters of Battle. Now, one of the reasons why I'm super hot on the Sisters of Battle is because 11th edition is really shaping up to be the edition about playing the game, not just being the most killy, not just being the most durable. And Sisters play the game real dang well, being able to automatically guarantee the freaking dice that come in, just having tons of MSU. I think Sisters are going to be positioned to be a very, very, very strong contender early on in the game.
Especially considering that they basically just now got Ruststoppers. Like, their Sacrosants will now work like Ruststoppers and be really, really, really fast.
Yeah, that's fair. It's very fair. So I think Sisters should be elated. I mean, they've been a really good army all edition. I think they're going to be an A tier army.
Yes. They see very little play, but I think that as things are right now, they are very well positioned to do really well.
You got it. Completely freaking agreed. Okay. Space Marines. Space Marines are always going to be good. They're just always going to be good. They have so many units available to them. They have so many detachments available to them. They've got so many combinations. Marines are going to be good. They've got units that can dramatically take advantage of the battleshock mechanics. Bro, Assault Terminators are actually really freaking interesting now. If the Assault Terminators charge you and you fail that battleshock, you get to pass a leadership test to unbattleshock in your turn. Oh, you didn't pass it? Good luck. Too bad you can't do that fallback shoot and charge that you were looking to do. Now, these are all ifs.
Maybe that's also like an argument for other new detachments becoming interesting, because one of the things that they have said in this Q&A is that battleshock is going to be a bigger thing than it already is. So there might be some things we haven't seen yet, which means that you might want to consider doing more Phobos units that have -1 leadership auras and stuff as well, right?
Yeah, all these things, which are all really, really cool. Sorry, I gotta pause. I gotta address the chat real fast. Listen, if your freaking army appears lower on the list than you want it to appear, stop feeling bad. This is all speculative. We don't have the actual freaking rules. And actually go listen to what we actually said about the Black Templars, bro. Like, as a matter of fact, we are actually very, very positive on them. The only reason they're down there is because we think that there are easier options to adapt. Like, don't be down about your army in something where you literally don't know anything about them yet. Like, enjoy your hobby. Be excited.
And like we said, like, this is the time to explore. None of this will remain true once the edition hits, right?
Explore. Love your hobby. Bump what anyone says. Come up with the really sick combinations of the unique, awesome detachments that are going to be available to you. I don't play Black Templars, but I played Black Templars for a team that Shetzel was piloting. Dude, I went like 4-1 with them or something like that. Like, Black Templars have all the tools they need.
Yep.
Just because the win rate isn't super high around the world doesn't mean that Black Templars don't have the tools that they need. They're freaking awesome.
I mean, look at the guard win rate and what other people are saying about guard, right?
Look at the guard win rate. The guard win rate's like not high, but it's
win rate
amazing.
is nothing.
Win rate doesn't matter. Ignore that. Enjoy your freaking army. If you love that army, learn it. Get really good at the game and beat the shit out of your friends and have a blast with it.
And the comment by Bob Scott here is so true. The meta doesn't matter if you just decide that I am the meta.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what some people just do. Like, recon wasn't a thing until Nemo Wesley St. Hines started just
Exactly.
winning everything with it. And then, like, as things got nerfed, people went like, wait, this guy hasn't lost a single game in all of 10th edition. There might be a thing here, right?
Exactly. Dude, yeah, like Recon, dude, that's a great example of Recon Guard. Recon Guard was a meme. Every time you saw it, it's like, oh, I'm automatically going to win. And then Wesley St. Hines just freaking wins LVO with it and crushes at Worlds with it. Like, yeah, dude, make your stuff work. When I freaking made the new, like, meta for Dark Angels, everyone thought my list looked retarded because they didn't understand it. And then, now when you look at all Dark Angel lists, they basically all look like mine. Make the army work. Make the army work. You can do it. I love you. That was because I care for you and I want you to enjoy your freaking hobby. I'm not like trying to make you feel bad. I want you to enjoy your freaking hobby. Okay, let's get back to the tier list. That was enough of that. Anyway, Space Marines, they're going to be freaking good. They've got tons of options. You've got ways to mix the freaking Phobos in there. You've got ways to do your Assault Terminators. You've got tons of different elite options between all the vehicles. Oh my goodness gracious. Marines are just going to have the options. I can't imagine they're not going to be an A-tier army.
Yep. Also, funny you say that, Battle Brother DJ. Guardian Battle Host won a very major GT not too long ago.
Guardian Battle Host actually has some really sick stuff.
Be the meta you want to see.
Guardian Battle Host has some sick stuff. Like, dude, you just regenerate your freaking units at the start of every turn. Like, that's dude, that's good. Like that's good, bro. Okay, the Wolves. Shut, do you have anything to say about the Wolves? I know you've been messing around with Wolves a bit.
Yeah, I think that Space Wolves, in addition to one of the other armies we're gonna discuss here, might be really cool, right?
Yeah.
Because of the things that they have available, the explicit turn 1 ingress, as well as the opportunity to if detachments and stuff remain as they are, because we don't know that, but if they have access to Stormlands, where they can also ingress another thing turn 1 maybe, you start getting like very interesting high aggression instantly type stuff. They also have a lot of dudes that love to remain hidden, that love to just sit on objectives and then just explosively run at you.
Yep.
High armor saves. They probably love the -1 to hit more than others because of their because of the Terminators. So I think like Space Wolfguard Terminators might be really good. Yeah. Not sure how to place them because of the lack of diversity in it. If you consider like just Space Wolf alone being like branched out, I think that depends a little bit on how they are going to do the generic data sheets. But I would definitely see them roughly alongside Dark Angels, if not like the lower end of A or upper part of B.
Yeah, I tend to agree with your assessment there. I mean, Wolf Terminators alone, just sitting on freaking objectives, -1 to be hit, and then they're -1 to be wounded. Like, they just get hyper freaking durable now. They have the ability to hit back real dang hard. They have that base 7-inch move instead of 6-inch move, which could be really, really relevant for coming out from behind one of those ruins and then going into people who try to charge into your chaff. I think the Space Wolves have a lot of options available to them, and bottom
like
of
they're talking
A.
about a bit about and like they're talking a bit about in the chat as well.
Yep.
Thunderwolf Cavalry really didn't like the terrain that we had,
but they love the new terrain.
But now that it is as open-ish as it is now, less roadblocky. I don't necessarily want to say open, but it's less roadblocky.
Yep, that's for sure.
Especially considering how you can fight on objectives now. Like you could very well see like an 18 Thunderwolf, 12 Wolfguard Terminator type build show up and just like,
yeah.
Well, here's an issue for you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Space Wolves and I'm gonna throw them top of A here, or top of B. Pardon me. They could very easily be bottom A.
Sounds very reasonable.
I think that's what I see them. Tau freaking Empire. It's always the Tau, isn't it, Shessel?
Yeah, I think that as long as Montcalm remains as it is, they are too fast and too powerful they are probably like the top of A or in S tier, as the way I see
Bro,
it.
there's
Um,
and
they
now
will negate, like they have so much, like all their low AP stuff
Yep.
doesn't matter because didn't matter before because they had ignore cover.
Yep.
But now they also have ignore cover, so they don't care about the ballistic skill penalty as well, and they can go to AP2. So it's like
increased detection range, as we saw from the new detachments as well, meaning that you don't get
yeah.
15-inch loan up, you get like 21-inch loan up or something. I think they said they can get
So
up to detection range 9 when they stack everything, right?
so I don't see how you're gonna hold objectives against Tau.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be a nightmare.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Tau's probably gonna be a problem. Tau already is kind of a problem. So in that sense, nothing's new. But like there are things that kill Tau.
Yep.
Right?
I
There
still
are
like
things that kill the S tier armies.
totally.
S tier armies can lose. I've lost with guard. Well,
Yeah.
not recently. Like I've drawn with guard, but you know, winning draws. But like Tau will depend on the primaries, I think. If you have a primary where you can just not interact with the Tau until you just table them, that's going to be good.
That's me real good.
One of the concerns I've seen is that if you have the kill primaries, you might run out of time because it's capped, and I hope that's not the case. Because if it's not, then you can just go and table the Tau army after they try and get you,
right?
And then it's fine, right?
Yep.
Then it's fine. Then there's no more dooming because like there's so many natural predators in like World Eaters and stuff.
And Blood Angels, I think Blood Angels are still really into Tau, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like we need to see the rest to know how big of a problem Tau is right now.
But they're going to be one of the best armies in the game for sure. Like they just will be. I can't.
They are like
that.
the premium shooting army.
Yeah.
So long as it's Mont Ka and they run straight at you.
Yeah.
Play it like a madman.
Exactly. Now for me, Tyranids is the other side of Demons, and I think Tyranids is going to be freaking great in this edition. Battleshock mechanics are going to be so much more powerful. And in addition, where Tyranids' weakest thing is their battleshocks, but their battleshocks is also incredibly powerful. I'm feeling real hot about Tyranids right now. One of my least favorite things is to let me just finish this, is to hear people complain about Tyranids not having the tools that they need. Tyranids have every freaking tool in the game. The only thing that Tyranids maybe kind of lack is a good elite unit, like a good elite infantry Terminator style unit. But they've got everything else in mad spades, and their battleshocks is second to freaking none. Whew, go ahead.
This is the one I've been very curious about. And the one I have a theory about.
Yep.
And I don't know how well it holds up. But I have envisioned in my mind, in my crazy, delusional, schizophrenic mind,
Subterranean
Vanguard invaders.
Yeah, that's fair.
Backed by exocrines. And maybe a rupture effects or two. That and the exocrines only need to move 3 inches to touch something, and then still have heavy. The Vanguard invaders will be charging you turn 1. Fights first is no longer a defensive buff, so Von Ryan sleepers will be killing and precisioning out characters.
Yeah,
and
sure.
a lot of characters will change to where they are forced to lead and such, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of character stuff will change and might be more impactful.
Yep.
You will be engaged with your entire army turn 1. You won't be move blocked. You will have to fall back from him turn 1. In addition to that, he won't just have hidden things. He will have loan up things. And as long as that strat isn't changed, he can go to loan up 6 on the things that are already loan ups.
Very powerful.
He can have neurolictors that trigger -1, maybe -2 battle shocks on you.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that will be happening in your turn 1. And you will be heavily forced to dig yourself out of something here. So like that army that I envisioned there makes me very happy that Thomas is on our team.
Yeah.
And like I think just like as long as that thing gets a very interesting primary into most other dispositions,
Yep.
I think that's gonna be like the obvious go-to Tyranid build.
I'm
Because you
thinking.
just like infiltrate everything and run at them turn one, and then it's like, how do you dig yourself out of that fast enough to keep up on primary and not like at minimum lose 7-13 or something?
See, I'm starting to think about subterranean assault because now you have 8-inch deep strikes, not 9-inch deep strikes. So that first deep strike is
That's true.
a lot easier to accomplish. Then you arrive via tunnel markers, which is not an ingress; it's a tunnel marker with 6
Yeah,
inches away from
see,
everything.
it's that thing again.
There you go. And now you've got the Red Terror, who dramatically increases Subterranean's ability as well, because that's another tunnel marker that's happening every single turn.
Yep. And the Red Terror, if you fail the charge, he can just go away. There are no consequences to
He can
failing a
just
charge with
go
the Red Terror.
away. I think he's a huge buff. I think Subterranean is feeling filthy right now. As a matter of fact, the more I'm
And
talking,
the fact that you have to like screen zoanthropes in your backfield as well, right? Very
yeah,
open backfields is the way, it's like the name of the game of the current terrain setup.
yeah, and you know what? I just since we've been talking, I'm gonna go ahead and make a executive decision. Demons dropping down to A. Tyranids, they're taking over the demon spot up in S. I think Tyranids are gonna freaking crush early 11th.
It's especially like, yeah, like the
And they
the
counter
Vanguard
guard.
list that
And
I
they counter
envision.
guard real hard as well.
Yeah, like I think they will be the ones that cause issues for guard, and they might infiltrate and be fast enough to do the I rolled first, now you're fucked type
Okay.
scenario. Pardon the swear words.
How dare you? All right, cool.
Uh,
And so real fast, let me hop in with a super chat from Mr. Johnny5477. He cannot wait to see what his Perturabo meta army is going to look like in 11th. He's got a bounce for a work thing. Hade. Hade is a filthy made-up language that only silly people over here in the Nordic regions speak. It's so don't worry about that. But Johnny, we love you. We appreciate you so much for the super chat. It means a lot, man. And I think the Perturabo reveal was sick, and I can't wait to see him touching the freaking battlefield. Although I would be much more excited for a loyalist demon Primarch in the form of Corax. I'm just saying that would have been a better choice. But yeah, Perturba's gonna be cool. All right, so we're closing in on the end here, Settle. We only got 3 more. I don't have much to say about Votan.
Yeah, Votan is one of my like big blind spots. I think they are kind of good. I think
totally.
they probably struggle a bit with points, and cover being changed the way it is probably hurts them a lot. With their current builds being half guard Terminators, not really having an invul, but being like -1 to hit and -1 to wound when strength higher on objectives with the yield point stuff.
It's good.
Interesting. I would put them probably in like C tier.
That's where I was thinking.
If so, like some experts would be able to like do a lot better there, and like justify higher, but like top of C definitely.
Yep. I think that's very fair. Now, one of the things, and by the way, C is not bad, everyone. So let's be really clear. C is not bad.
Yes,
It's just armies that like you're gonna have to fight a little bit harder with.
Yeah, how difficult is like how many tricks do you have to pull out of your hat to win, right?
Yeah.
How much more skilled do you have to be than your opponent with a higher tier army, basically?
Yeah. Yes. C is not bad. The only bad tier on here is D. That's like a bad army. Like that's a
And
bad
there's
army.
probably gonna only be like it's the Imperial Agents tier, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That ballistic skill thing really does hurt the Votan. Like that hurts a lot. Okay, all right. So let's do World Eaters real fast. Now, rules as written. Unless Blessings of Corn changes, World Eaters are going to be a freaking menace on the battlefield. 6-inch pylon consolidate with a second pylon.
Yeah, that seems like this is probably going to be like one of the other armies that are going to be like, here's a problem you need to solve. Good luck.
Yeah. If they don't change the freaking army rule for World Eaters, it's going to be a problem army. Just for sure.
I think with the change to heroic and the fact that I think we're gonna see a lot more brawling midfield type things, I think there's gonna be not as many problems as before, because I still think that there's gonna be a lot more opportunities to shoot berserkers now.
Could be.
With how surging and stuff is going to be uniformed. And as people get better at the fight phase, the new fight phase, I also think that maybe it won't have as much impact as we think.
See, I actually think that's gonna give the new charge phase is gonna make them even better, because now they can just roll the dice. They don't have to take the safe charges, and then they can use their 6-inch pile-in to get where they need to get.
Yes, that is true. Like just the fact that you can just roll a charge and then tag something is fine. However, that might also be a curse, because I've seen some people testing out the early play with like, here's a very close charge, here's a long way charge. Oh, did you roll bad on the one you can reroll? Well, too bad, you have to take this one now.
People should stop doing that. But fair. So where are you thinking? Are these guys A, or do they make it to the top?
Top of B, probably.
Top of B, you think? See, I was going to go top of A, so I'm going to say... All right, I guess we do have more in B than we have more in A than B, so I can put them top of B, but I was going to say bottom of A. But they will be a problem for people to learn how to play against. And then lastly, we have the final ones. Thank you guys for pointing out I didn't have the EC in here, so you get a special icon for the EC. And the EC feel real good right now.
They are very good right now.
They feel real good right now. Defiler's transformed that into a...
the fact that they can actually shoot now and get their coterie stack up, like their pledges up, without having to commit dudes, very good. Terrain as it is now, I see it's like almost like a penalty to them.
I agree with you.
Because while they are fast, they're not that fast.
They're
it's
not
7 with advance and charge.
Right.
That's not 12 with advance and charge.
Right.
You need to actually sit in the terrain now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there might not be enough stuff in that army for like other fast armies to not just like come and punk you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I just completely agree with you.
I might have a very controversial hot take. I think they end up in the lower end of B, if not top of C.
I was going to say lower end of B.
I think lower end of B seems about right, because a very good player with them can definitely do some stuff.
Yep.
And if they get the ball rolling, they definitely get the ball rolling. But if coterie is a 3.1 and has a bad primary, there's going to be problems, right? The one thing that might buff them up a little bit is if Court of the Phoenix and Fulgrim becomes better, because he'll have a much better time moving around the battlefield.
That's actually a huge thing. Very true.
But we don't know those yet. The things we know, to me, speaks that this is lower end of B.
Terrain is just a problem for them. The terrain changes is an issue for them. For sure.
Yes, like they really want terrain to be like UKTC or WTC as they are now in 10th.
Or even U-shape, like GW gives you at least a few U-shapes, right?
Yeah, really some of the GW layouts. But now, like the actual physical terrain isn't necessarily there for them to, because they now also have to stand on said terrain. In order to score points.
Yep. Exactly.
If they have that primary. That is such an important thing to think about, right? Do they actually have that primary? What is Coterie's disposition points? And what is its actual disposition?
You gotta
like,
the whole primary,
right?
Dude. We're gonna have to do so much content on how these primaries interact. I do not like envy the amount of work you're gonna have to put into learning how to pair. Because if you guys don't know, Schetzel is our WTC captain for our team here in Norway, and I'm just a humble player. So Shettel is the one who's gonna have to put all the effort and work into freaking learning how
Yeah.
to like pair, not just for teams, but also pairing not for terrain and matchups, and also for dispositions. That's gonna be
Yeah.
mind-boggling, and I'm gonna steal
I
everything he comes up
know
with for content. So,
I know some things about how these things are gonna be,
yeah,
and I can't say it yet. But I
sure.
am working on like how to do our new matrix and how like team composition is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm gonna say is that teams, if singles has like, if singles becomes like everyone wants this particular disposition,
Yep.
teams might be the most fun way to play Warhammer, is what I'm gonna say. And it already is, but like if you
It's not.
find that you're struggling and finding singles boring,
It's just fresh.
teams will definitely be like the best way to go.
It's so I love teams. Teams is a lot of fun. What I really like is I like you guys. You know, even I like him too. But so it's just different,
No,
right?
no,
It's a
but
different
like
experience.
what I'm saying is that if singles frustrates you, and we end up in 11th to have like a singles where everyone needs like the take and hold disposition,
Sure,
and that's what everyone plays because that's the easiest,
I gotcha.
then teams
We'll give you different
will
ways
be
to do it.
structured in
That's
a
fair.
way where not everyone can actually have that. And
That,
that's all I can actually say, right?
that's
So
very
that
fair.
means that there will be a lot more diversity in teams than
Yep.
just like everyone's gonna have like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You'll be forced.
so let's start doing a few closing thoughts here, man, because I actually really like that point that you just made. So one of the so basically our top that Shetzel and I have pretty much basically agreed on here is Tyranids, Astra, and Tau are the ones to be looking for at the beginning of the edition. But there's a lot of really good armies. And actually, what we got here looks like a really, really balanced thing. There's a few guys who are lagging a little bit behind. There's a few guys who are going to be ahead, and then everyone else is going to be smacked down in the middle, which really just inspires me. It makes me really, really looking forward to 11th. I haven't seen a single thing in 11th that I don't freaking like. I haven't seen a single thing. There's some things I'm hesitant about, but nothing that I don't like.
Yeah, because like one of these things with this tier list that we have to preface at the end, right? This is not like this good, this bad, this right? It's this easy to do good, this a little bit harder to do good, right? And there are things you can cook here. There are things we don't know, and stuff like that that might just like radically change this, right? This is purely a snapshot of the knowledge we have right now.
Yep.
And you as a player will help define the meta going for this, to find things that work, to find the interactions, right?
And there's going to be a lot more than just what the top players can do. That's one of the things that really excites me about 11th edition. There's going to be so much customization. Guys, we're going to do live workshops where I'm going to have you guys coming into Zoom calls, and we're going to put you into little group teams meetings to like start working on your list building to figure out these dispositions and the best combinations. I'm going to be hopping into the individual groups. We're going to have so much stuff coming up here. I'm really excited to talk about some of the opportunities we got coming for you guys. It is awesome. I do want to give a shout out to one of our members here, Mr. 50 Mike. He just gave a super chat saying that he was leaving, but he just loved us so much he came back in, and he wanted to let everyone know that he posted all the bullet points from the live Q&A in the competitive discussion channel on our Discord. So if you're a member of the Discord, go there. You get all the little notes there. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate you for that. Guys, 11th edition is bringing a bunch of freaking crazy things. One of the things I'm most excited about is the fact that everyone's going to be using the same terrain. I like the fact that it's not going to be GW terrain or WTC terrain or UKTC terrain. I like the fact that everyone's going to be playing the same freaking game. It's really, really irritating to me when I can go to a different country and now I'm basically playing a different game. So it's going to be unified, and that's very, very cool to me. I am pumped for it.
And also, like, just like the way GW seems to be handling things like this now,
better. Yeah.
With how you see certain rules referencing rules pages and which interactions, and like the way everything is becoming a lot more structured now makes me really hopeful that we'll avoid those depends on your TO type situations.
Dude. Yeah, so I am very, very optimistic about this edition, and we have a crazy amount of really cool content coming up for you. I'm gonna be information, like I said, for my channel is always free for all of you guys, especially when I do like my tactical deep dives. So you guys have been checking out, I've been doing like some coaching reviews where I go through some matches that some of my clients have been doing. So I give you the same feedback that I give them. So I'd like to give all of you guys all the information as possible for free. I'm going to start giving you more opportunities to be engaging with the content as well. And I'm really excited to be announcing that here in the next few weeks. We got a lot of things planned. We got some live events planned that some of you will be able to attend as well. And we got some stuff that's happening this year in coinciding with the 11th edition release. And I can't wait to get into more of it. But for the meantime, Mr. Shettle, what do you have? Do you have anything to leave our beautiful people with today?
This is the starting point of a new edition. Nothing is set in stone. You are the meta. This is the most exciting time to get into the game. This is like your opportunity to leapfrog into being that like now is the time to put in the effort. And if you just do the thing you do now and play a lot of games and get the reps,
yeah, man,
you will win tournaments. Like now is your time.
It's much easier to keep a head start in competition than it is to play catch up.
Yes, because now you will, like all the weird interactions, you'll be the one figuring them out. You won't be the one being told about it randomly on the tournament. You'll know first, and knowing things first is power.
In our coaching calls, one of the things I'm telling all of my clients is that you want the rules for 11th edition to only be new for about 1 to 2 months.
Yes.
Now, there's going to be mechanics that are going to be new. It's going to be fresh for much longer than that. But you really only want the rules to be new for 1 to 2 months. So when it releases, learn those freaking rules. I'm going to be doing lives for you. I'm going to be doing constant content to get you guys caught up to date on everything. So make sure you hop onto that stuff. And with that, I think we pretty much freaking did it. Shettle, thank you for coming on the channel. For those of you guys who are out there, you should make sure to start following some of the WTC team for Norway's socials. We have an active Facebook. We actually have a active did you get the TikTok going?
Maybe.
What do you have active going?
I will. Okay, Facebook is the only one active now because I'm trying to recover. I'm trying to recover the other accounts so we don't start new ones.
Okay, fair play. So we're working on recovering some of the old ones, but we'll be going to Belgium to represent and try to get our Seed 2 back this year. And so with that, guys, we're gonna close off. We love you all. Hope you guys have an amazing freaking day. And until next time, crump on. Bye bye.